Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day's going fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, today I am super excited to be part of a blog hop. This is a 2-day long blog hop and today is the second day. We are celebrating Simon Says Stamp's brand new Holiday Sparkle release. And my projects today are featuring a few items from that release. There's lots of inspiration. If you missed day one, head on over. If you missed, and if you want to head on over for today, the links for that are over on my blog. Actually, all the information is over on my blog, so check it out. There's lots of inspiration. Now today I'm not going to create a card, shockarooey. We are going to create some gifts or gift holders that you could put in stocking stuffers. You can actually give as a gift. I think it'd be super fun, and just something a little bit different. Some paper crafting, as I would like to say. So we're going to jump in and get started. We're going to use two new items. We're using a stencil set. This is the Retro Layered Berries stencil set. It's a 2-piece set and it is 6 by 9, and there's, for this one, basically you have the retro berries, which would be great on their own, but then you have the detail layer. So we're going to use this to create some colored cardstock with a beautiful pattern on it, and then we are going to embellish that pattern with some embossed mittens and stockings. This is the 3D embossing folder, and it is a cutting die too. It's called Sweater Weather, and what it does is it creates a you can emboss 2 mittens, a stocking, and a hat. You can see here, and then these are the dies that will cut those out, but it's just not these. It'll actually die cut out a second layer. You have the little circle for the pom-pom on the hat, and then this piece can be for the stocking or for the mittens. So I think this is really neat, and I love the sweater pattern in here, and I think you will too once we die cut it out and do a little ink blending on it. We'll do this in just a little bit, but we're going to start by doing some stenciling. Now, this is, I mentioned, the 6 by 9 stencil, and I'm going to, since this is a detail layer, I'm going to go ahead and take my Pixie Spray. Pixie Spray is a low-tack adhesive, and I'm going to add a little bit of tackiness to the back. But I had a panel that is 8.5 inches long by 6 inches wide. I did this because when you take a sheet of cardstock, let me show you. Like this, basically what you're doing is just trimming off at the 6-inch mark. Okay, and even though your stencil is a 6 by 9, you're going to have 1/2 inch overhanging. I'm not worried about that. So we're going to tack our first layer down. What I like to do is line it up. I got ink on my hand. I like to line it up on the bottom corner here. And I actually marked the very top with my Sharpie a little black dot. I don't know if you can see it here. And then I also did this corner too. This tells me that it's the right side up. Now I want to create a colorful background. So to do that, I'm going to bring in some Distress Oxide inks. And I'm going to bring in actually quite a few. I have all of these. I'm going to use all of them on this panel except for Ground Espresso. We're going to use Ground Espresso on that panel. But I have, let me see if they'll stand up for you. I have, see those preserves? We're going to color in these little berries with it. Mowed Lawn, Festive Berries, Kitsch Flamingo, Shabby Shutters, and Peacock Feathers. I think this is going to be a bright and cheery background, but not too bright because I'm going to tone it down with some browns. Okay, we're going to take our very first ink, which is Peacock Feathers, and I'm going to use my finger daubers, and I have, they're pretty worn. Look at time for new ones. I'm going to go ahead and ink up these large leaves. I'm going to ink up one and I'll show you. And if I go into the other areas of the images, I'm not worried about it. Sometimes that looks pretty. But I'm going to go over all of these leaves with my peacock feathers. After I have all of my peacock feathers, I'm going to take a towel. I lightly damped it, and I'm just going to wipe off my stencil because the images are kind of close together, and I don't want my inks, since it's floating on the top, I don't want them to muddy together. Okay. We're done with peacock feathers. We'll put that aside. We're going to bring in shabby shutters. And I'm going to go over the holly leaves with shabby shutters. I think I got them all. I'm leaving my inks out just in case, because I may have to. Sometimes when you have a busy pattern like this, you can miss a color, or at least I can. Actually, I went to the eye doctor not too long ago, and he goes, I don't understand. He goes, your eyes are all over the place. So yeah, I told the doctor, it's kind of like my brain, all over the place. So that doesn't surprise me. But I'm pretty sure I'll miss some of those. So I wiped off my stencil once more. And then we're going to go in with Kitsch Flamingo. For Kitsch, look, I'm going to show you. You see how I'm overlapping a little bit on the berries? No worries. That's just a handmade card. Now I'm going to go over all of these circles. The berries are big circles. And I'm going to go over that with my Kitsch Flamingo. All of our circle berries are all done. I think that looks pretty. Something different for holiday colors, huh? We are going to bring in festive berries. So it's just like a pinky red. But for this one, I'm actually going to use my blending tool. I think the poinsettia flowers in here are big enough to go over with my my blending tool. Okay, I did go over my flowers with my festive berries, and now we're going to bring in mowed lawn. We're going to go over some of the greenery in here. Now, there are sharp points on this greenery, so when I stencil, I want to make sure that I'm going the opposite way as those points. Otherwise, I could ruin my stencil. You want to make sure that when you do this too, that those points are going down, and then you're wiping off in a downward motion. It just makes it easier to clean your stencil. I guess that kind of makes sense. Okay. It's coming along beautifully. I'm going to go ahead and take our very last, and there are some small dots in here. I'm using seedless preserves. And we're going to go over these small dots. Trying not to miss. If you wanted to use a detail blending tool for this, you could. But I'm trying to miss those other areas. Because purple is one of those colors that could turn muddy on you. Especially if it's blended with green. And we have a lot of green in here. Okay, are you ready for the reveal? This is kind of like my favorite part when you stencil. One, if you clean it off beforehand, your stencil is already done. And then, how pretty is that? I just love it. But it's going to look even prettier, I think, once we add our detail layer. So let's grab it. This is our second layer. I'm just going to line this up in the corner. Press down really good. I'm going over my detail layer with ground espresso. And for this, I'm just going to use, should I use the finger dauber? Yeah. Let's grab a finger dauber. And this is going to just stand out on that color. And then I'm going to wipe, that's kind of a pretty color, just toning down that white in the background. Okay, I went ahead and finished adding my ground espresso. I'm going to use my towel and just wipe away that ink. And then I'm going to go ahead and do our reveal. Are you ready? You see how it kind of just toned it down a little bit? And we made our own pattern paper. Now I am going to do this 3 more times on the same size piece of cardstock. When I'm done with that, I will be right back. Now I went ahead and just finished up 3 more panels. Now I do want to mention that this cardstock is a heavyweight. This is the cardstock that I use for my card bases. I would say it's like 120 pound weight, so it's a very thick, heavy weight. Now these ones are a little bit thinner. I think these are about 80-pound sheets of cardstock. I did this intentional because these were going to turn into envelopes, and this is going to be a cover of something. Okay, so 3 80 pounds, 1 of your heavyweight cardstock. Now you'll notice it leaves me a little bit of a white border around the edges. I like that for the heavyweight. That's good. We're going to end up trimming some of these down for our envelopes. So let's go ahead and do that right now. We need a envelope that is let's see. We're going to use our envelope punch board, and so we need a 2.5 by 3.5 inch envelope. So I need a 5.5 by 5.5 inch piece of cardstock. So let's go to 5.5, trim this down, and then I'm going to trim off that white edge on one side. I'm going to flip it around, and then we're going to trim at the 5.5. And I'm going to do this to all of my 80-pound sheets. So we have a 5.5 inch squared piece of cardstock. Okay, I just finished up. So we have 3 5.5 squares, and then we're going to save these. We can use these for another project, but one of them we're going to use for this project over here. We're going to put all of our stencil backgrounds off to the side, and then we are going to do a little bit of embossing and die cutting with our sweater weather embossing folder and dies. This is so neat. I think if you guys want to invest in a embossing folder and die set, I think this is so neat. I'm going to show you. This is what it looks like. So the only thing that's embossed are these, the 2 mittens, the stocking, and then you have the cap. Okay, so now normally you'd put your cardstock in here, and then you would run it through the embossing folder. But for this one, you want to die cut first. So I'm going to take some white cardstock, and we're going to die cut out. Okay. I'm going to get some white cardstock, and then we're going to die cut out. I'll probably need one more here. Okay. I'm going to die cut out all of my images, and I will be right back. Okay, all my images are now die cut, and I just used white cardstock. Now we're going to take our embossing folder. You're going to open it up. And you have a raised area, and then you have one that's kind of that goes in. I'm going to open up my embossing folder, and then what we're going to do is flip around our die cuts and put them. If you watch, I'm going to show you. If you put them over the embossing folder, this area is smooth. If you put them over it, they will kind of find their place to where they don't shift no more. You see how it's not moving? They kind of just fit right in there. I'm going to do that to all of my images. And just so, let me see. So you want to make sure that they're basically back in their home. And I'm going to run these. Okay, we'll do that to all of our images. And if you think they're going to slide, what you can do is I would suggest a really low tack tape and just tape them down. Because you do have that smooth surface and you can get away with it. Let me show you. Okay, I'm going to close it up. And then I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine, and I will be right back. Okay, so I ran this through, what you're going to do is open it, and then you can lift them up, and oh my goodness, I just think this is so neat. Look at the detail in that. The stocking, it has two different embossing looks to it. I just think this is super neat. Look how fun the hat is. Here is the hat. It's amazing just the texture that it gives. And of course the other mitten is the exact same. Okay, so we have a layer to our mitten and to our stocking and to our cap. You're going to basically do the same thing. You are going to run your detail pieces, just line them up on your embossing folder, and then this one goes here on top of the stocking, and then you're going to run this through your die cut machine, and it just fits in there so easy. And then you have the detail piece that is embossed, and if you don't want it embossed, you don't have to run it through to give it a different look. And then this one doesn't have any embossing, but it does create a dome kind of a shape. I'm going to emboss one more of my stocking top, and I will be right back. Everything's embossed now. What we're going to do is do a little bit of ink blending. We're not going to create with our hat, so I'm going to put this off to the side, and we're going to focus on our mittens and our stocking. I have my craft mat here, and we are going to do a little bit of ink blending on the bottom area. So maybe I can get away with using my finger daubers here. I'm going to use my peacock feathers and my mowed lawn. I think I can get away with just using the ink that's on my finger daubers. And if you lightly go over them, that detail is just so neat how it stands out. After we have our kitsch flamingo, I went over it really lightly. We're going to go in with our festive berries and just do a little bit of darker shading on the very bottom. Now I'm going to use some foam squares. I'm going to go ahead and remove the release paper and add the top portion of our mitten. Of course, you don't have to do this part. You can leave it just as it is. But I kind of like the white cuff here. I think that's cute. I'll do the same with our stocking and our other mitt. And then there is our stocking and our mittens. Okay, since we have brown inside of our pattern here, you know, we did the detail layer. I think I have some brown and white baker's twine that I think is going to work out really well. I'm going to go ahead and tack down my twine on my mittens, and it's about an 8-inch. It's about an 8-inch piece of my brown and white twine. Okay, so our mittens have a little string attached. I'm going to put these off to the side, and then we're going to go ahead and take one of our panels. I'm going to take my heavyweight piece of cardstock, and we are going to do a little scoring with this. So I'm going to grab my score board. Okay, I'm going to place this so the white edge, this one goes all the way to the end. We're going to take the one that has the white edge, put it up in here in the corner, and then I'm going to score at 4 inches. And then I'm also going to score at 4 1/4. Like so. And then I'm going to reinforce that square. We're going to basically kind of create a gusset. I'm going to reinforce that like so. So it looks like a book. Like this. And you'll see that this piece here needs to be trimmed off. So I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. So we have what looks like a book. Now before we go any further, I have a tag, and this is from Waffle Flower. It's called Dotted Tags. It's a 3-piece set, and it's the medium size. Yeah, I think 1 1/8. I'm going to score it 1 1/8. And then I'm going to score, jump over to the 3/8. That same, and like so. So we have this little fold that's the same as this. Okay? We're going to put this off to the side. I'm going to use one of my eyelets. I have a brown one, and we're going to use that. I went ahead and put an eyelet. I had to make the hole a little bit bigger, but I'm going to add my large eyelet, and then we are going to go ahead and secure that with our crocodile, like so. Okay, and then we're going to bring in our glue. You need a very strong glue, and you're going to add glue to the very back side of this tag, all the way up to the fold line, your first score line. And I suggest glue because you really want this to stick to your paper. Okay? I want this right in the middle, so I'm gonna eyeball it. I'm gonna open up my panel here. I'm gonna kind of eyeball it. I'm gonna fold it over so I know exactly where that score line is. I think that's a good spot. Okay, so we have that fold here. Okay, now we need something to put in it. And I have a notebook, just a piece of a notebook pad. This is going to go right in. It's going to fit perfectly. Just barely made it. But of course you can use this with you can do this little book with basically any size paper pad you want. This is the fun part. I'm going to add quite a bit of glue to the very back, and then I'm going to add my notebook. I'm going to make sure that I'm not obstructing that score line over here. In fact, you can kind of hold it up, secure it. Okay, now to close this, we're going to use a magnet. Now, I have the basic gray magnets. Let me show you. These are lovely. Simon sells these, and I'll link them down below. They have a positive and a negative. You want one of each here. So we have a positive and a negative. Now I'm going to take the negative, remove the release paper, okay, and then I'm going to place this just below my eyelet, right here. I'm doing this because I'm going to put a bow through here. And then I'll take my positive magnet. I'll remove the release paper off of this. And then this will just tack right down to the positive. So I have the release paper facing up. And then just to get it straight, make sure your notebook cover is lined up in the corners. Fold it over, and then you can tack it down like so. This way you have a cute little notepad. Now we need to decorate the notepad, and that is where our mittens come in. And I don't want them drowning out on my panel, so I have a piece of white cardstock that I'm going to adhere using my glue to the very front. This is just going to add extra stability to the cover. And I have about 3/4 of an inch showing all around. And then I'm going to remove the release paper off of my mittens. Okay, I'm using an acrylic block to hold that down, and in the meantime I went ahead and die cut out the word notes with an alphabet die set. This is from Hero Arts. It's called the luggage tag alphabet, and I did mount my letters on some white foam. What I wanted to do was add the word notes right here at the very bottom. Next, I'm going to take some of that same baker's twine, and I'm going to thread it through my eyelet. And I'm not going to tie a bow. I think I like my little, my twine a little bit long so I can open it up and jot down a little note. And that will finish off that project. I think this is the back side. And if you wanted to, for time purposes I didn't do that, but if you wanted to, you could create a pocket on the inside if you wanted to. Put some extra little tags or some notes. But that finishes off that project. Now, before I go, I do want to create one more project that's really fun. Quickly, we are going to create a gift card holder using our 5.5-inch squared panels that we created. To create our gift card holder, it's very easy. I'm using my We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board. I haven't used this in a long time, but I do love it. And I'm going to create a 2.5 by 3.5 inch envelope. So I need to line this up at the 2 3/8 inch mark. 2 3/8 is right here. I'm going to grab my scoring tool. So I'm at 2 3/8. Okay, I'm going to punch. You can tell it's well loved. It's missing a piece here. And then I'm going to score. Along that score line here. Some people score from the top down here, but I like to go from the bottom up. That's just me. I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to use this little point here, right here, this one, and line it up on my score line. I'm going to punch, and then I'm going to score once more. I'm going to rotate it, line it up on that next score line, and then I'm going to use my bone folder, score once more all the way up, and then we're going to go ahead and punch right at the score line, line it up on that scored line here, punch. Don't pay attention to the numbers. The only time you have to pay attention to the numbers is the very first measurement. And then I'm going to go ahead and score once more, and we are good. You can see the score lines go all the way around. You go in and over, like so. Okay, I'm going to do this once more. I'm going to do it really fast now. So line up your 5.5 by 5.5 inch piece of, and you can do this with pattern paper too. That's the nice thing. I'm using a stencil paper, but you can do pattern paper. I'm going to line it up at the 2 3/8 of an inch mark. Punch, score, rotate to that score line, punch, score. You can see how quick it is. Line it up on the score line, punch, score, rotate, line it up on the score line, punch, score, and then you are good to fold, like so. And we're going to do it one more time. Okay, so we have all 3 envelopes done. We can get rid of our little corners. If you wanted to round the corners, you could, but I'm not going to round the corners today. Okay, I'm going to use my tape runner because the tape runner is faster. And I'm going to add adhesive to these 2 flaps and fold up my envelope. Fold this one over here. I'm going to do that to all of them. Now, to create our multi-gift card holder, it's very, very easy. I'm going to flip around one of my cards, I'm going to add adhesive to the very top of the envelope. Okay, I'm going to take another envelope. I'm going to line up this point with the point on here. Let me show you. Find that point, line it up like so, and you're good to go. We're going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to flip it over, add adhesive. Now if you, for this one, if you wanted to use, line it up here. Okay, so we have this that looks like this. It folds really easy. Now we have these white areas. We're going to fix that by taking that extra piece here. I'm going to trim this in two. I have here. And then using my paper trimmer, I'm going to put this corner to corner on my cut line and trim it. Again, corner to corner on my cut line and trim it. Now you can either use the piece that has the white trim. I think that would look really pretty here. I'm not going to use the piece that has the white trim. I'm going to use the opposite piece. I'm going to use my tape runner. And then I'm going to add this just above the score line here. And we'll do the same over here. Just above the score line. So we have a white border. I'll use my scissors and trim away the excess. After we have this done, it could go this way or this way. It could be your preference. And I think I'm going to go this way. And what you do is you just fold it in thirds. And since we have a little bit of bulk here, what we want to do is create another score line. So I'm going to bring back my scoreboard. And I'm going to place my pocket in here. And I'm going to create a 1/4 inch score line. So this is actually 3, with this all the way up here, it's 3 1/8 of an inch. We scored it here, and we're going to reinforce that score line to create that little gusset kind of a style. And I'm going to put a magnet on here too, just because I think it will look like fun. When you fold your gift card holder over, you have this open area here. This is actually a great spot to put a blank card, just slightly smaller than your panel, because you can add a little note right here. You can put enjoy, Merry Christmas, whatever you want. It would be a great spot for your note card here. Okay, now since we have, obviously it kind of folds open, so a magnet would work out perfect for this. So I'm going to bring back my magnet. Then we'll take my positive and tack it down. This is easy because my craft pick is metal. Makes it really easy. And then I'm going to remove the release paper off of that positive magnet. And then I'm going to close this. Make sure it's lined up. And then I'm going to close it and press down. And then I just think this is so fun. I love doing paper crafts. Oh goodness. Okay. Now I went ahead and put my bow here with my Jingle Bells. I just used some glue dots for that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I put a big old glob of glue at the very edge of my envelope flap. You want to go really heavy because you really want this to be secured down, because this is what they're probably going to pull when they grab the top of the envelope. Okay, and then I have created a little button that says lift the flap with an arrow. This is using the Lawn Fawn Push Here stamp set. I just wanted the recipient to know. I'm going to go ahead and flip this around, add some foam adhesive behind it, and then we're going to tack this right in the middle of our stocking. We do have pretty big glob of glue there, so I want to make sure it dries. But I'm going to open this up, and of course you can write your message in there. And then we need to add some gift cards. I'm going to show you how they fit. These are just sample gift cards for when I create. I like to know the sizes. Of course, I think for Christmas you'd want some Christmas ones. You can even put three gift cards from different department stores if you wanted. Your favorite coffee shops, 3 different cards. Sky is the limit with this. And they will fall down. We're going to go ahead and add this one like so. And then you have plenty of room in there. Even if you wanted to put a sleeve, you can. But when you fold them over, they're not going to go nowhere or fall out. And you have the cute little stocking on the very top. And that is your gift card holder. And then you would just open it up. You'd write your note here. There are all your little gift cards. And if you want to even tack them up a little bit so they can see, and that's a cute little gift on its own. Not too bulky. Just think that's adorable. And so here, and that will finish off my card projects today. Some cute little gift ideas for the holiday season. And today, again, is part of a Blog Hop Day 2 for Simon Says Stamp, celebrating the brand new Holiday Sparkle release. I hope you get a chance to head on over and check it out. There's a giveaway that goes with this and lots of inspiration. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.